Welcome, everyone. How do I? Is this on? Can people hear? Can you hear? 1, 2. Yes. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, to the Council of Governments meeting. It's February 1st, 2022, and we have an agenda and a notice of the public meeting in front of us tonight. This meeting's been called to order, and I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. So let's get started. The first agenda item is City of Holmes Beach. It's a hot topics, and in case anyone doesn't know who I am, I'm Mayor Judy Titsworth from the City of Holmes Beach. So I've prepared a statement so I don't forget anything. We have been extremely busy in the City of Holmes Beach. We are anticipating an incredible tourist season as all of our snowbird friends return to some Florida sunshine on Anna Maria Island. It is a time of year again that we all need to show patience on the roads and for locals to either stay home, leave early, return late, and to never go to Publix on a Saturday. The residents who have lived here for many years understand the routine and at the same time appreciate the value that these guests contribute to the local economy. We have exciting improvements scheduled for this year, the first being our City Center project. The scope includes a portion of Gulf Drive and Marina Drive between 52nd Street up to Holmes Boulevard and at the light to 56th Street. For those of you who aren't familiar, that's where that Wells Fargo, that really heavy congested area we have in the center of the City of Holmes Beach. It lacks safe pedestrian crossing and currently has no bike lanes. We have already replaced the failing seawall at the marina and added a pedestrian boardwalk. This year's work will include stormwater infrastructure improvements, added sidewalks, crosswalks with rapid flashing beacons, landscaping, street lighting, push-button crossings at the traffic light, and bike lanes. Multimodal transportation is key in response to the increased congestion in our city. We have recently received $1 million in stormwater funding this year for clean water storm infrastructure. Holmes Beach continues to be a leader in designing stormwater infrastructure to capture the first 1 inch of dirty rain and returning it to the aquatic lens as opposed to sending it to the outfalls and into the waterways. Reducing the nitrates and phosphorus loads in our bays is important in combating red tide and those algae blooms. With the addition of ARPA funding and continued appropriation requests, the City of Holmes Beach is committed to decreasing pollution runoff. With the help of WCIND, the City of Holmes Beach will be replacing our patrol vessel. Our officers understand the importance of boater safety. Speeding doesn't just put other boaters at risk, as we have a tremendous population of manatees. With the numerous manatees slow speed zones and the minimum wake zones, enforcement is important. The rental boating business is thriving, and with that, there are many inexperienced captains that do not understand the channels, and their lack in skill in boating just adds to the mix. We are here to assist the county sheriff and also FWC in any and all of their enforcement needs. We also work closely with West Manatee Fire District in safety of a dwelling and our commercial buildings. We appreciate this collaboration and continue to be available to assist. And lastly, our vacation rental certification program is working great. Our inspection program educates the property managers and owners in life safety of a dwelling, trash can and signage placement, FEMA compliance, occupancy restrictions, length of stay, noise restrictions, and the proper posting of address numbers. All of our stakeholders continue to be on board, which allows for the continued success of the program. We are compliance-driven as opposed to enforcement, and our friendly approach is key in the successful relationship we have with not only the owners, but the guests. I don't know if any of you all know JT Thomas. He's the key to our success. He really is a people person, and he's been wonderful to us. I appreciate the opportunity to chair this meeting tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Anybody? Questions for City of Holmes Beach? Okay. Next on the agenda is affordable housing. The Council of Government members. Anyone here to speak on that?
That was a request from the county commissioners about, 9-10 months ago, that it was always going to be on the agenda.
I don't think this is George Cruz from Antioch County. I don't think this is a request of the county commissioner. There was a conversation, Charlie's not here. There was a conversation about setting up a task force of a few groups here, including the municipalities, the school board, us. I agreed to be on it. Charlie agreed to be on it, to have a bigger discussion on how we can do this universally. Nothing ever happened with that task force as of now. I believe Bill is on it too, right? But nothing's happened to it. I mean, the short answer, for lack of a real presentation, is we need affordable housing. And I've had this conversation with a number of the mayors and others. Part of this, I think, is just that there's so many little pockets here, but we're not coming up with solutions together, because this isn't, whether affordable housing is in city of Bradenton or city of Palmetto or an unincorporated, which are the three logical locations. You're not really going to get affordable housing on the island. It just doesn't make logical sense from a cost of land and construction. The three of us, in conjunction with the school board, because A, the teachers need the more attainable type housing, and B, because you're charging half the impact fees. I think we all need to work together to figure out how we do it, because regardless if you're working in one area or the other, you're living any place where it's affordable to live close to your employment base. And I've had conversations with Mayor Brown and Mayor Bryant about how do we meaningfully utilize our urban core, which is closest to our employment centers, closest to our major transit hubs and our 99 line, to make this work. And at the end of the day, we can't just leave it to the two cities to come up with the funding and the ideas and the solutions for all of us. We need to be working with the county as a whole, both from a monetary standpoint and an idea standpoint, to make this happen. So that's why I was hoping to have that task force, and hopefully in 2022, as things are getting worse, because our rents and our housing prices have gone up 40% in the past 12 months, we really need to move that task force forward to figure out how to utilize the locations within Manatee County that are best served to house this attainable type housing for everybody. So, I agreed to be on a task force before. I'll happily take a lead on that and find people from each of the main municipalities and the school board, and work to move that forward and put this on the next agenda with a little bit more of an actionable presentation, as opposed to this ad hoc conversation right now.
So, Madam Chair?
Yep.
So maybe what we could do is, I suspect the request came before I became the county administrator, but what I can do is kind of update you where the county has been going since I joined the team. As you know, the county holds a lot of property around the county, varying in size of parcels that really can't be used for much, that it was determined that it was going to be surplused. And early on, when I started getting pieces of paper that I needed to sign this to surplus a parcel, my question was, why are we surplusing and what's it going to be used for? And it was, well, utilities no longer has a need for it. And so what we've done is we have done a very comprehensive inventory of all of the land, and in some cases homes, that the county owns, and have gone through a process to determine what the best use of that property for the benefit of the county, and if it's for affordable housing. And the reason why I bring it up is because it's in all your jurisdictions. I mean, we have property in the city of Palmetto. I mean, we've got it distributed, and with a strategy of rezoning the property while we own it before we surplus it. So we are a willing party with parcels as large as 100 and something acres, all the way down to a parcel that can probably be rezoned to accommodate, 6 residences or something like that. So should this task force come together, there is an early opportunity for success in combining input from all the municipalities along with the county to help us identify the best use for these properties in those communities so that we can surplus it, we can put it into a land trust, we can identify partners to create affordable and workforce housing. So that's where we are, in addition to a myriad of funding sources from HUD and ARP fees for housing and things like that. But it's going to take a collective body to work together to move this at a rate that we need to move it. And that includes the commission's willingness to look at density and things like that in the urban core so that we can facilitate it. Because what we have going on right now, while it's nice to have these increasing values because it's going to hit the tax rolls, which provides money to deal with homeless and all that, but we're rapidly getting into the situation where it's no longer affordable. And so I would encourage as many people as possible to volunteer to work with Commissioner Cruz. He's got some pretty creative and innovative ideas about how we can move this forward quicker. You've got a willing county commission. We've got an administration that is actively moving. We've started the rezoning process on a number of parcels. So that the attitude is when we surplus it, it will be ready to go. And no one will have to work through zoning changes because that will have already been accomplished. And as part of the strategy, this collective body that would come together would be instrumental in identifying the best use of that property to facilitate identifying the zoning changes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else? Well, that sounds positive. It sounds exciting, and I think we do need to move this forward to another Council of Government meeting so we can have some real discussion on it. Thank you, Commissioner Cruz, for getting it out in the open so we can start considering some plans. Next is the school district capital projects per approved 5-year capital plan. We either have Superintendent Cynthia Saunders or Michael Penley from the school district.
Mr. Penley.
Good afternoon, Council of Governments members. My name is Mike Penley. I'm the Executive Planner for the School District of Manatee County. Today, I want to share with you what is on the school district's 5-year plans as it relates to capacity improvements. We have a very robust 5-year plan. In fact, over the 5-year period that it spans, our capital expenditures are projected to be more than $786 million. Excuse me. Construction maintenance makes up the majority of that. And the construction takes several forms. It can be new schools, it can be additions to schools, it can be renovations or replacement schools. Now, our county, Manatee County, is experiencing historic growth, especially in terms of residential growth. And as I look around here, I see the county commission, I see city council members, and I know that you, as the legislative body of your jurisdiction, are constantly faced with residential development applications. And you have to decide whether or not to approve those applications. One of the primary considerations that, pursuant to your own comprehensive plans, that you have to look at is whether or not there is sufficient capacity and infrastructure to accommodate that residential development. Now, that infrastructure takes various forms. It can be roads, utilities like water and sewer. It can be schools. It can be parks. So what I want to present to you today will be showing you what the increase in capacity is over the next 5 years in our school system. Now, that comes in a variety of different ways. It can be constructing a new school, can be replacing a school and increasing size or an addition to a school. And keep in mind, as we go through that today, you'll see each type of those projects, but we're only talking about the ones that increase the capacity. I'll start with the elementary schools. Over the 5-year plan, we're intending to add another 498 student stations. All of these will be additions to schools. The first of those is Freedom Elementary School. For those of you not familiar with it, Freedom Elementary is located north of State Road 64 between I-75 and Lakewood Ranch Boulevard. We will be adding an 8-classroom wing addition there for 160 student stations. Terra Elementary School will get a 4-classroom addition, either through a renovation or a replacement of the school. We're working with the Department of Education right now to determine what that project will be, because ultimately, if we are to replace the school, they have to approve that. Williams Elementary School is located on Fort Hamer Road, just north of the Manatee River. We're adding 120 stations there. That will be a 6-classroom wing addition. And Witt Elementary School, located on Rye Road, we just completed the construction of that. It's a complete renovation of the school. We added a classroom wing, and it's a total of 138 additional student stations. Our middle schools have a much more robust program. Braden River Middle, which is located on River Club Boulevard, is currently undergoing a complete renovation of the facility. And we've added a 6-classroom addition for 132 student stations. Buffalo Creek Middle is located in the northern part of the county on Erie Road. There, we're converting the existing media center to 3 classrooms, and we're adding an additional 8-classroom building and building a new media center that will increase the student stations by 242. At Hale Middle, which again is located between I-75 and State Road 64, we are adding a 10-classroom addition. And in addition to that, that will be 220 student stations, but in addition to that, the school will be completely renovated. The biggest project for middle schools is a new middle school in North County. That is in the North River Ranch area, about 1.5 miles north of Moxonwalla Road, directly north of Harvey Elementary School, if you know where that is. That will be 1,253 student stations. We have that property under contract, and we intend to close on it this year. Nolan Middle School, which is located on Lorraine Road, south of State Road 70, will receive an 8-classroom addition with 176 student stations. And Sugg Middle, this says renovation. It's actually a replacement school. It's a beautiful new school in the city of Bradenton. We're very proud of it. It's going to look very similar to Jane Middle School, which is out in Lakewood Ranch. So that's under construction. It has a slight increase in capacity of 39 student stations. So all total, we'll be adding over 2,000 student stations to middle school. This next category is something new for us, at least in modern times. And that's the addition of a K-8 school. We acquired property last year in Lakewood Ranch to build a new K-8. That property is located just south of 64 and east of Eline Road on Academic Avenue. We will be adding 1,500 student stations there. Like I said, this is the first time we will build a K-8, at least in modern times. We have 2 K-8s. Those started lives as something else. One started as elementary and one started as a middle, and they morphed into K-8s. So this will be designed as a K-8 from the ground up. And for high schools, we've got 2 projects. The first of those is Braden River High School, located on State Road 70. We will be adding 10 classrooms there for 250 student stations, and the other is Lakewood Ranch High School, right off of Lakewood Ranch Boulevard. We will be adding 20 classrooms with 500 student stations, totaling 750 student stations. Now, when you look at all those together, the elementary, the middle, the high school, and the K-8, we're adding over 4,800 student stations over the next 5 years. So the school district is aggressively trying to keep up with this residential growth that's occurring throughout the county. I will tell you that as someone who works with our capital plan, that we're constantly talking about additions to it, and we're already starting discussions about potential additions at Paris Community High School, because that school's filling up very fast, and it was planned for an additional wing when it was designed. And also another elementary school starting in year 5. So those are not on your list. But with that, I'll close my presentation and be happy to take any questions that you have. Yes, sir.
Gary Schaefer, Holmes Beach. I would agree, it's a very aggressive plan. Just having had in my past some school board experience, wondering if this aggressive plan for growth does incorporate and consider student-to-teacher ratios.
Yes, sir, it does. As we build more schools, we're constantly trying to recruit new teachers. Our pay scales have gone up. They will continue to do so, and we are very competitive now with the surrounding counties. There was a time not long ago when we could not compete with them. But we will be hiring staff to maintain that balance.
Do you recall what the present student-to-teacher ratio is throughout the county?
I cannot tell you that, sir. I'm sorry.
That's fine, thank you.
It's probably within the constitutional amendment, but.
Go ahead.
Mike, I noticed, it looks like a large number of student stations, but I think in my conversations with the superintendent this year, the school district experienced a growth of like 2,000 students.
That's right.
And we have a lot more growth yet to come. I know you've got a few charter schools that are under construction as well.
Correct.
And I see you add, obviously, it appears to me, just based on the growth in the past 12 months, you'll have some more catching up to do with regards to new construction. Does it look like you're going to be able to fund increasing all of this? Because it's in a good situation, it's a pretty aggressive plan. But it also looks like it may not be enough to keep up with the growth for all the homes that we know, and in looking at our permits and our plats and you're talking about over close to something like in between 30 and 50,000 new homes approved for construction over the next 5 to 10 years.
Correct. We, at the school district, we've actually conducted several studies, and we can, and these are rough numbers, but I can tell you that north of the river, what's approved but not yet built, including what's already in the pipeline trying to get their entitlements, there is approximately 40,000 units. And then in the Lakewood Ranch area, what's approved in the pipeline, approved but not built, there's about 31,000 units. We know we have Lake Flores to deal with. That's going to be coming soon. I think the county
Right.
commission recently approved a community development district for them. So all told, we suspect there's around 80 to 85,000 units out there that are approved. And when I say we did these studies, we only looked at developments that had more than 100 units. So we didn't capture any of the infill developments. So fortunately for us, those won't all come at one time. The market only absorbs so much. And I think right now we're probably absorbing about 5,500 units a year, somewhere in that area. It might be off a little bit, but I think I'm close. So we can accommodate that at this time. We have capacity available in our elementary, middle, and high schools right now. So this would just be additional capacity, but with what we currently have, and I already mentioned that we're looking at adding on to Paris Community High School and a elementary in year 5. We're programming that. We don't have the funds for that yet, but that's something we're trying to find, and I think we will be okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Satcher, I think I saw, did I see your hand up?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, would you mind what you said about Buffalo Creek one more time? Would you mind repeating it? Because I missed part of it. I was trying to catch up with your geography, but go ahead.
Yes. At Buffalo Creek, what we're doing is taking the existing media center and converting that to 3 classrooms. Then we're building a new media center and adding 8 more classrooms. So that will total 242 student stations.
And then when we see these numbers, some of these schools, so I believe Buffalo Creek has the portables, right? So would these replace portables, or would you keep the portables and this would be in addition to?
The intent is to replace all the portables.
And so how many portable stations do you have right now? In other words, are
At
the
Buffalo
students just
Creek?
going to be moving inside, which is a good goal. I'm not criticizing that goal, but are they just going to, will it just have the exact same capacity, just a little?
At Buffalo Creek, we have 5 portables, and 4 of those are used as, I'm sorry, 1 of those is used as a classroom. That's the last count that I had on them, and that's pretty recent.
So it will help capacity. That's good news.
Yeah, so the intent is to remove the portables. An example of that is Witt Elementary School, which we're just completing the construction of. There are portables out there. All those portables are leaving.
Okay, that's exciting. And then so this is not normally what I'm doing, but I am sure that you said that you had extra capacity. So I'm sure that y'all are looking at lines to try to get as many, if you have extra capacity, you're trying to get students from the places that are overfilled into the schools that have extra capacity, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Our board and our superintendent use a number of different techniques to try to attract students to those schools. We use the magnet school. We have magnet schools around the district, and they have specialized programs in these schools to try to increase the capacity.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your hard work. And then I just wanted to kind of reiterate what Dr. Hope said, but a different way of looking at it is even if we were to keep the same numbers that we did the last 10 years, you're looking at, 50,000 population growth in 5 years. And that's hard to imagine that it's not going to kick up a notch with as much, like you said, as much pressure as we all have coming our way for new homes and for people wanting to move here. So I don't know what the ratio is. If 50,000 people move here, how many of those are going to be students in our public schools? But I know that I trust that y'all are taking a close look at that and doing the best that you can under those circumstances. Let us know if we can help in any way moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary?
Okay, thank you. Mary Foreman from the school board. Mr. Satcher, I know how you can help. Actually, this comment is addressed to the whole county commission. As I've observed, I'm only 1 year in on the school board, but as I've observed the development going on and the plans for location of new schools, at the time that the development is being approved, the developer is saying, okay, we're going to carve out 20 acres for a school here. I would like to, my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for the board, but I would like to see more interaction in that decision at the time that it's being approved. Developers are charging fair market value. There's just, we're not getting any discount, but they need the land as much, more than we do, because they want the land, they want the schools in their community, to be able to sell houses. So I'm a proponent of take care of it at the beginning and try to encourage some contract or agreement that it would be sold at a discount. Just throwing that out.
Misty?
Yes, thank you. So, nice idea. I don't know if the attorney wants to chime in on this. I wish it were that easy.
Well, I
May I address that?
Yes.
So I'm County Attorney Bill Clegg, and you cannot condition development on an agreement from a developer to provide land at a discount unless you can demonstrate in the record that the amount of need that they are generating from their development is proportionate to the cost that they're incurring through that, what we refer to as an exaction. It's very difficult to do in the context of schools in particular. We have an interlocal agreement with the school board and all of the participating local governments in Manatee County that meets the requirements of the Growth Management Act for school concurrency, and it has some very detailed requirements about when you can ask for what we call proportionate fair share mitigation from developers, and it really does not permit that kind of decision-making at the development approval stage. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Surya?
Next, I have Dr. Hopes.
Yes, Scott Hopes from Manatee County. I have to tell you a story. When I was anticipating getting appointed to the school board in 2017, I had a breakfast meeting with some prominent developers, and I made the comment, but it was all in earnest, that they're planning these large developments, these large communities. And in my humble opinion, the school district didn't need to be building these schools. The developers should be building these schools on land in their development, and then they could decide whether they wanted the school district to operate the schools or a charter operate the schools. I had that same conversation with pretty much every developer. And surprisingly enough, last year when I was on the school board, I got a call from a former state senator on the East Coast who said, "I got a problem, and you're still on the school board, aren't you?" And I said, "Well, what's your problem?" And he said, "Well, I've got a client who wants to build a large multifamily housing project in Lakewood Ranch, and the owner of the land, Schroeder Manatee," and I got to hand it to Rex Jensen and his team, told this developer that if they were going to buy that land from them at fair market value and build this large multifamily project, that they had to build a school. I said, "Really?" So I will tell you, they took it to heart, and they dug in, and I ended up meeting with a charter school operator, and we went and saw one of his projects, and I went so far as to tell him, I said, "Look, I'm glad somebody was listening to me, because I was serious at the time." And I even told them that, you should build it, you should turn around and either give it or lease it back to the school district. So I will tell you, under construction today, in the core of Lakewood Ranch, is a K through 12 campus. The first phase is the lower school. They expect to have it completed in July for the K through, I think, 8, Mike?
Yes, I believe.
K through 8 and K through 6, and then they are following it with the high school campus, which will include a football stadium and everything. So I still believe that's a very viable strategy, and I can tell you that at least one developer and landowner was able to get enough people together so that the school district doesn't have to build that school. And what is it? I think in the end, 2,100 students.
You're close. I don't know the exact number, but that is close.
With a focus on technology, partnering with LECOM and Harvard and all that. So there are innovative solutions to kind of getting us to where we need to be. And so I'm excited about that project, that it was something that the school district didn't need to spend the money. And you had developers that at least took a conversation seriously, and it was surprising, but that is one approach. And I will tell you, that project is going to take, with the early learning, I think 2-month-olds all the way through the end of high school, including dual enrollment, as part of the program out there. So I think if we work together, there are ways to keep up with it. It doesn't all have to rest on the shoulders of the school board and those funding sources. I think that you're right, that I do believe there's a solution in the private market that can develop a more innovative model for ensuring that we have facilities to accommodate all this growth and deliver an excellent education, and it doesn't all have to be on the backs of the taxpayers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Thank you for the time.
Okay, item number 4, water taxi update. We have either Bill Steele or Jonathan Robertson from Manatee County Transit.
It's going to be me, Mayor.
Elliot,
It
all
is,
right.
it's Elliot.
Mr. Tourism.
Mr. Tourism.
Okay. Okay, Bill's going to do the event, so I'm just going to do all the talking. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see everybody. I wanted to kind of set a little structure here, and then we're going to ask Bill Steele to show you some slides of where we're at. But this is an exciting time. We all know that we're on the cusp of some heavier traffic coming in. And I say that with the utmost sincerity as the tourism director for Manatee County. It's through COVID, we've been dealing with a lot of unique traffic year-round because of the unprecedented demand that we're seeing out of the domestic visitors. But we've all talked about the need to enhance multimodal transportation in this community. We've talked about it for a while. You know, I have the utmost respect for you all. I'll go as far as say I love you all. So we're going to be real candid here for the greater good of moving forward. Okay? And with that, not only we're dealing with a lot of influx of traffic, but we're on the cusp of more construction on our transportation system, whether it be bridges or roundabouts. So that's going to compound some things a little bit. It makes multimodal transportation even more important. It's time to take advantage of the waterways in our beautiful community. The great news is I've had discussions with every mayor in this county, with all due respect, except the town of Longboat Key, and we know the Board of County Commissioners wholeheartedly embrace this water taxi system. But we stand ready now. What we need very soon is a partnership with the cities. Okay? We've talked about it. We know there's a need. It's time to move this forward. The Board of County Commissioners have charged the county administrator to get this moving forward, and the county administrator has charged our department in Public Works to get this done in a timely manner. Okay? I urge you all to meet with us, and we've met with Mayor Chappie, we've met with Mayor Brown, I've met with Mayor Titsworth and Mayor Murphy as well. We're almost there, and we have to meet with the town of Longboat Key as well. But I know with experience that each city's going to have some suggestions. They're going to have some concerns. And I urge the cities just to find balance. We have to swiftly and effectively come up with a plan as Bill Steele and the county goes through probably an invitation to negotiate for procurement. Once we get a package out, and you'll see some insight from some of the slides from Bill Steele, is we're going to learn a lot from the water taxi vendors on how we can do things, how we can be efficient, the frequency of the taxis, the initial landing spots of the taxis. You may not see on a conceptual map, that we're not going to maybe Longboat Key right out of the gate. We may not be going to Palmetto out of the gate. But we know that when this hotel's built behind me here in the expansion, Palmetto is going to be as ripe as it can be for people wanting to board a water taxi to go downtown Bradenton, to go out to Anna Maria Island for day trips. So it's so important that we need your support and seek balance to move this forward. Dr. Hopes has challenged us to the point where we really want a service launch, hopefully no later than the Memorial Day weekend. We believe that's realistic. We got to communicate. There's one thing you all know about me, I'm going to communicate. And I'm going to be candid, and we're going to follow up and get it done right the first time. But if we can get that infrastructure in place and get it going, we can build upon that and make tweaks, okay? What I put in front of you all is we've had our third-party research firm, Research Data, survey beachgoers on Anna Maria Island during the months of August and Labor Day, really the Labor Day holiday, to gain some feedback. And the statistics came out pretty positive that the visitors coming in, whether they're Manatee County visitors on the beach or outside the county, they have an appetite for a water taxi system. And then in-house, we did a survey of the hospitality workers on Anna Maria Island, that if we ran a downtown Bradenton service to the island, so the employees could commute that way like we've seen in other cities, okay? We've done a lot of research. We have a good feel for what's going on in Tampa, what has gone on in Pinellas County, even Broward County. We know the density and the population is different city to city, but we feel good enough that it's time. It's time to move this forward, make the numbers work, and continue to communicate with the cities for the greater good of multimodal transportation. Think about it, folks. Once we get that going, then we can look at the second step of multimodal transportation, whether it's bike lanes, parking, etc. But we got to start somewhere, okay? Some of the mayors that I've worked with, I'll be candid, we've been talking about this for 4 or 5 years. And it's not about just marketing to tourists that's clogging up the roads. I'll be real candid with y'all. We could stop marketing today for a year, and I can promise you the traffic is going to be the same going onto the islands that it is today, okay? What we do in the marketplace is manage a brand that is effective during adversarial situations. That's how we weather the storm, without getting in the mud with you all. Okay, so with that, let me see if I have any other notes here. And then Bill's going to take about 6 minutes to go over some slides just to kind of immerse you with everything without getting in the mud, because right now we're in a conceptual phase and we are on the cusp of a procurement phase. And then we'll keep the mayors up to speed as well. And then I'll come back and then we'll call my good colleague Chad Butso up and answer any questions that you may have. But fluidity, I think, is really, really important during this time because there's going to be a little bit of trial and error for a while. Okay? They need capacity, they need frequency, and queuing areas and all that. So there's a lot involved in it, but it's going to be fun. And we're going to get it done as a community, and then we'll remember this presentation a couple years from now and see how well it went. Okay, so with that, Mr. Steele is going to immerse you, and then I'll come back. Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. Bill Steele. I'm Public Works Transit, so my specialty is not water taxis. It's surface transit, but I've been asked to present, and I'll share some information with you. And I'm not good at this clicker. Here we go. You know, Elliot covered this just a moment ago, as well as Mayor Titsworth. The emphasis is multimodal. The more multimodal concepts we can have, the better. Congestion on days like today is pretty severe. Travel delay is also severe. And it's on those corridors leading to AMI as well as on AMI. And I think, as Elliot mentioned, we've got some construction projects in the next few years. So we see the water taxi as an alternative that's very important for the community. We have looked, and Jonathan Roberson is in the back, I believe. Jonathan has been delving into other areas, both in the state and other parts of the country. The purpose, the need, the scope may be somewhat different, but there's plenty that we can glean. In fact, we've gone as far as developing a scope of work just based upon what we've learned. So this has been very valuable research, and we're going to continue that effort. And some of you probably, if you've been around a while, remember a taxi study that was done, a water taxi study by the MPO. While it's dated, it did have some very relevant conclusions. The need to properly fund the service, the importance of key destinations. And again, something we've talked about, whatever the water taxi serves, it needs to be connected to the larger transit system. So that could be bike ped as well as the AMI trolley. All of these things need to work together. When we talk about the water taxi, we're thinking about mainland to AMI, but there's also an island hopping concept so you can serve the communities on AMI. So this study, while several years ago, was very helpful. Following that MPO study, we did define some of the key things that we need to do. The business and service plan. As we mentioned earlier, this needs to be in conjunction with stakeholders, also with private vendor. There's going to be some one-time startup costs that we need to identify. And just like in public transit and everything else, there's the ongoing O&M costs. You may have seen this conceptual map before. I believe this did flow from the MPO study. So we've got some pilot project concepts. Docking space is going to be key. Private sector interest, and we anticipate this to be a very competitive procurement with more than one vendor. And in talking to those vendors through an invitation to negotiate process, defining those service concepts that they feel are most viable. Next steps. Again, we do have a draft scope that Elliot, Chad are reviewing because we want to proceed to an ITN, which is very much like an RFP with some differences, but we can define the deliverables from the vendor, evaluate those, and begin negotiations. If the number one ranked vendor doesn't meet our expectations with those negotiations, we can move on. Elliot's talked about partnerships. That's going to be key to this. The fact that he's talked to all of you is very important. We want to initiate this water taxi pilot program for 1 year. You know, from transit experience, sometimes over 1, 2, 3 years, you learn a lot. You can make key adjustments. You can improve the service. Not to leave anyone out, but I think initially we need to go from downtown Bradenton to AMI. As this service progresses, gets more productive in terms of ridership, there are always opportunities to expand. Now, the experts are here. It's not me per se, but Chad and Elliot are here as well to answer questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Commissioner Serby had her hand up first, and then Marion Barnaby.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm so excited about the water taxi. I'm happy that we're finally moving towards that. So many opportunities as we kick that off. I would like to suggest that there's a strong effort to include our merchants and private businesses in any discussions as we bring the cities in to discuss with us. For example, if we're going to have a launch from downtown Bradenton, we want to make sure that parking isn't intruding on any of the parking spaces for private business and those types of things. And I like that you also talk about a pilot project. I like the idea of doing something new at a slow pace to identify the challenges and correct them before we expand it. So great job. Please include the merchants and the commercial businesses. Thank you.
Yes, Elliot, I just have a question on the last page that we saw at the last bullet point. It says initiate a water tax pilot program. Is that supposed to say taxi, or are we talking about a new tax?
It's a tax. Typo.
Okay.
Thank you,
I
Ms.
just
Barnaby.
wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bad word.
You want to see if you're reading it.
Ken?
Yeah, thank you. On behalf of Longbow Key, I acknowledge we haven't been part of these discussions yet. We've heard similar conversations in Sarasota County as well, and from FDOT, who we do a lot of work with on some of the ground transit. We'd love to be involved in the discussions. We understand we may not be the first port of entry, but would like to be in the loop. That would be very helpful to watch from the beginning and see where we can, play a role on this.
Absolutely, sir. And we do believe Sarasota plays a part in this as well at some point.
Sure.
You know, we've had discussions about the airport, whether it's via Crosley to the island. I've had people ask about Fort Hamer all the way out to the island. So it's all over the place right now. Initial framework, a lot of frequency, a lot of capacity, and then we build upon it. Fluidity, I think, is the key word here, and balance for the greater good of the success.
And just while we're at it, I know Mr. Steele does land transit as well. We are still working to develop a coordinated effort between Sarasota and Manatee County for the bus services and to get them to work together a little more smoothly than they do. So that's a work in progress, I know.
Yes, sir. And that was the prudent move that the county administrator made. I'm so glad he charged me as one of the leads, because I may be the tourism director, but I'm a community servant. And I got to make sure that I have a pulse on what the community wants, the balance that they want. And the mayors that I meet with know that I'm sincere about that. So I'm going to be highly involved in this. But Chad and Bill being involved is vital, because there must be integration of the water taxi to the trolleys or the buses, et cetera. Very important.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Thank you. Oh, sorry, Mayor Chappie.
Yeah, I just want to thank the county and Elliott in particular for the partnering and working together with us. Big time kudos to the county. Braden Beach is it's about $1.5 million project. We have 50% matching. It's $850,000 from TDC funds. We're expanding our floating dock by about 82 feet. We're going to be adding 13 new finger docks, and that'll be 20 slips. Plus, there'll be a large area out there for the actual water taxi to pull up to, and we'll be providing the amenities that are needed. You know, the restroom facilities, things like that, and plus the connectivity, which Elliott has stated is so important to get to the trolley that we already have and the bus services that we have. Our CRA has also been able to, we've been funding kind of on a trial basis, but our own little trolley tram type service to get to other areas and parking areas within the city of Bradenton Beach on the south end in particular, and in our CRA area. And it seems to be working fairly well. We still have questions, we have some issues, but you know, you adjust and you move on. And again, the county has been a great partner in what we're doing here in Bradenton Beach, and we hope we expect to and continue anything we can do to partner and work together.
Mayor Titsworth, if I may close on this, I'll give you all a little tidbit. During 2020, visitors that stayed in downtown Bradenton properties, 60% of them took day trips to the beach. 60%. How nice would that be if 30% of that 60 jumped on a taxi out to the island? And we are continuing to do marketplace surveys, interceptors on the island. What you see in front of you, more to come.
Kevin?
Thanks, Elliott. So, Mr. Mayor, my question, you may have said it, what is your timeline for your finger docks? When do you see those come to completion?
We have a contractor already working on things, the plans. I would guess this year we're going to be starting construction on that stuff. Yeah. Okay,
great, thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor Brown?
And one of the things that we're doing, just so you know, the county commission doesn't think we have forgotten it. The plan to try to add some extra parking for our visitors out in the beach area, the North Beach area on the bay side, and an area for employees as well. We haven't forgotten that. We're waiting. Timing's everything, and Manatee County is in the process, probably not for another 6 months, but it's replacing all of our sewer lines on the south end of town, which is going to be a nightmare. Hopefully they're going to get somebody in there that's going to do a really nice, quick job and get it done. But it's going to be a nightmare for all of us out there. And I've had some discussions with your utilities people, and they're doing an amazing job to move that forward.
So your plan is when the sewer is complete, then you're going to start on...
We are going to get together with the county, as we said, to finalize a lot of this stuff so we can get that accomplished, that connectivity to everything.
Great. Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Brown?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's an opportunity, and as Elliott said, we have a lot of people stay downtown that want to go out to the beach, but I also think it's an opportunity that will help develop our urban core by bringing more people downtown to the city And then the opportunity is to go to the beach and then obviously to build that retail and restaurants downtown. And I do like Commissioner Servia's idea about how we involve our business district downtown to say that parking, but right now, within walking distance, we have a parking garage that has 400 spaces that I would probably say isn't 25% utilized. So as that grows, we can have a situation, but I do think we have some great opportunity to get more people downtown, which will actually then grow the downtown core in a way that will be positive, and just really an opportunity to showcase what we can do. And then obviously the council all knows, but we've just unveiled a $50 million CIP plan that will help develop some of that as we go forward too. So that's going to be, I think, more information out as we go that will be very positive for our city. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor.
Oh, Dr. Hopes?
You know, I'd also like to call everybody's attention to, whether you're on the island or on the mainland, the part of that, one of those early slides about the construction that's going to take place. Over the next 10 years, we have 4 bridges that are on the FDOT plan for replacement. 4 bridges. And if any of you have lived in a community where you've got that kind of disruption, along with all the other road projects that we have, for the next 10 years, you're going to have at least 1 bridge, either going to the islands or going across from Bradenton to Palmetto, that's going to be under construction. And that construction lasts for a long time. And those of you that have traveled, you know, in areas where, when it first came up, because I remember I was in Fort Lauderdale when they did the water taxi there, but also in Sydney, Australia, where my office was kind of the mainland, and Dell headquarters, you could drive to Dell headquarters. But if you went from downtown Sydney to Dell headquarters, we took the water taxi because it was more convenient and it was predictable, you know, of when you would arrive, and you didn't have the long drive over bridges and things like that. So I'm pushing hard for this, and the commission's been backing it. And I was pleasantly surprised when I said, look, we need a water taxi. And the general counsel pulled out the legal work that had been done in, I think, like 2015 or everything. So, I mean, this has been a discussion point for a long time. And we do believe now is the time to implement it, because keep in mind, you have people on the island that will want to come to downtown Bradenton, and when all that bridge construction is going on, it's going to be a lot more fun and a lot more convenient to get in a water taxi and take that ride. So the data is strong to support it, and the county is committed to take the lead and bring this forward. So I really encourage all of the municipalities to partner and think, you know, creatively and innovatively. And I really, you know, appreciate Commissioner Servia bringing up the businesses, because those are the ones that are going to benefit too. And the idea of being able to expand this and use the waterfront restaurants and move workers back and forth and get some of the people off the road, especially when we have capacity that's going to be decreasing during all this construction. So, you know, we're moving this as aggressively as possible, but we cannot do it alone. It's going to take a partnership. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else?
Mayor Tisworth, I think Chad Butso would like to make a comment.
Okay.
Sorry, Chad Butso, Public Works Director, Manatee County. Another one of the goals that we wanted to make sure we got out of this venue is, we talked about, everybody wants it, and absolutely, we're moving forward. Probably, I gave a heads up to our procurement official that we'll be delivering something to them this week. I mean, that's our intent, to get the ITN on the street. The other thing we needed to do to start a program, mainland to the island, or even up and down the island, we need places to go. We've been invited, the city of Bradenton, with at least one of their sets of day docks in the downtown area. Mayor Chappie has talked about that, but we do need to, that's going to be one of the biggest needs as we progress through this negotiation with a presumed vendor that's going to come to us, is, where am I going? So we definitely need to open. We're looking for relationships, whether that be with businesses, whether that be with private entities, whether that be with other peers, other good locations where we can look at what we need to do to give access and be close to the trolley if it's out on the island. So in case you're not right at your end destination, you can easily connect. In downtown, we definitely are talking about and working with the city of what the signage needs to be with parking and directing people and those things. But where would we stop is something we need to progress and need more than one spot on the island to be ultimately successful.
We will follow up with the mayors one-on-one soon.
Just one quick comment. I don't know whether this is the appropriate time, but I was wondering whether the county attorney might chime in briefly on the legal requirements. Since you're going out for an invitation to negotiate, there are some guidelines and rules about discussing things for when you issue the invitation, or there's guidelines where you're not allowed to talk about certain things, or they have to do it through certain channels. And I just wanted to make sure that the potential vendors out there, I know of one in particular who is very interested and very serious. I'd like to make sure we are clear about what we can say and not say. You guys.
So the answer to that is that the blackout period begins at the issuance of the ITN under the purchasing code. It does not apply to elected officials and staff talking to one another. It applies to potential vendors reaching out to the decision makers.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Public comment. Anyone for public comments? Okay, seeing none, it is other comments by officials. Anyone here tonight wish to speak about anything? Okay, our next meeting, oh,
The regatta. We just want to invite everybody to the regatta.
Yeah, thinking about that, this is over with, Madam Chair.
Mayor Brown?
I couldn't read lips there. But no, obviously coming up in obviously City of Palmetto, City of Braden, and Manatee County through the TDC and all of that, the regatta is a week from Saturday, the 12th. And, at some point, depending on the numbers, there's 50 to 100,000 people that come out and really enjoy it. And we're looking for the weather that we've had the last couple weekends, but maybe not the coldness as much, but looking for a great time to regatta. So everybody is invited out, and obviously the public, we want to just that are watching this come out and enjoy a great regatta on both sides of the river. The DeSoto Bridge the Green Bridge is closed, and we really enjoy that. And then obviously end up the day with a great fireworks. So look forward and invite everybody to come out.
Great, thank you.
February 12th, Saturday, February 12th.
Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for May 3rd, 2022 at 4 p.m. at the Bradenton Area Convention Center, same place. The meeting will be hosted by the town of Longboat Key. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Meeting is adjourned.